Hello everyone, this is Team 6 and we will be presenting GK's printers case study. GK printers was facing certain issues, so they needed a change in order to survive. This change has to be with many things, but first, Pete Pettigrew said that in order a company to make a change and this change to be successful, they have to put together three things. First, the context, second, the content, and third, the process. The context is why they needed a change. What was the context? So there were facing incremental competition, the decreasing orders. Their customers were printing their own contents, and additionally, there was a decrease in the frequency and size of the orders. Furthermore, the clients were demanding two principal things. First, lower costs, and second, faster delivery times. So this was the context. My colleagues will be explaining the content and the process. Now, how would the change improve their effectiveness? The design and marketing manager proposed to hire one more person in his department. This will lead to reduce the time from delivery from 3 to 5 weeks to 2 to 3 days. That will solve one of the biggest demands of the customers, faster delivery times. So now my colleague will be explaining the processes.
Thank you, Gabriela. Now the second question. Was GK focused on individual, group, or system change? In order to understand this point, we have to look at GK's strategic purpose for change and their organizational objectives. There were two strategic purposes for change. First was to improve their operational capacity, efficiency, and effectiveness. The second was to innovate their structure and processes. Their organizational objectives were, first was to reduce the production cost and the delivery time for lesser volume orders and cope with the increased market competition. As a group, we've concluded that their focus was on a system only change. However, as per the open system school of thought, there are 4 subsystem changes. First one is the people, technology, leadership, and the structure. In this case, GK focus was only on the structure. However, there was a big discussion about the technology where the printing manager asked for new printers. However, that was not kept in their focus. So we conclude that their change was only for the structure focus. Now for the next question, I will ask my colleague Jalala.
Thank you, Gul. Now, was GK ready to change? So, our mechanics defines the readiness to change is by the individual's beliefs, attitudes, and intentions regarding the change and whatever changes are needed, and the organization's capacity to successfully undertake those changes. So, after reading Managing to Change's book by Burns, we decided that there are like 6 factors to evaluate whatever GK was ready to change or not. So, the first factor is the effective leadership. And by the effective leadership, the directing manager, which was the change agent, had made a poor decision to make the design and marketing manager his catalyst, which affected which reflected a poor leadership decision. And for the second factor was the good relation. Was there a good relationship between managers and employees? And after looking at GK's case, we can clearly say that the relationship between the manager, which was the directing manager, and the employees, which were the other managers, has fell down after the meeting, and the synergy was not achieved. As for the third factor, which is the organizational commitment, we clearly can say, and even like my friends is going to discuss it in depth after in the 6th or the 5th question, we can say that there was no commitment, no organizational commitment. And as for the fourth factor, we can say it is the positive communication climate, which fell apart and the atmosphere was not good after the first meeting when GK presented, when the marketing and design manager presented the problems and the solution. As for the fifth factor, which is having the resources necessary to implement change, we can see that GK has them, but they didn't use them. For the sixth and the final factor, is there the availability for change and the necessary changing skills? Yes, there was, but as we can say, the managing director did not use them because he did not put a functional team in place, and he decided to go with one member of his whole organization. So after exploring these 6 factors, we can say that JK was not ready to change. And now, my colleague Karina, we're going to continue with the 4th question.
Thank you, Jarala. So why was there resistance and what caused it? When determining the causes for resistance, we relied on Kotzer and Schlesinger's 4 the causes of resistance: misunderstanding or lack of trust, different assessments, parochial self-interest, and finally, low tolerance for change. So for misunderstanding, we thought that the main reason for that was the differences in expectations, especially as the solution that the design and marketing manager was proposing was not what the managing director wanted to hear, and this caused distress and reluctance to accept the proposal. For different assessments, as everyone had their own objectives within the departments, then, for example, the printing manager wanted to have some new equipment, whilst the design and marketing manager needed 1 extra person at the team to reduce the design time. For self-interest, the fact that the design and marketing manager proposed to have 1 extra team, one extra person at his team, it came across as opportunistic and as if he tried to advance his own position in the company. And it just was stemming from the lack of trust, as he was quite new to the company. And last but not least, the low tolerance for change. We believe that they were open for change, but they were simply not ready, as my colleague Jarala had just said. So a bit more thorough planning would have been needed. And now I'm handing over to my colleague Abdullah, who's going to be talking about commitment to change.
Hello everyone, I will be presenting question number 5, and that is, how did GK go about gaining commitment for the change? Here we see that Burns said, if the company is not ready for change, gaining commitment may be difficult and resistance can be expected. In GK's case, we can see everything happening according to Burns, what he said. In this case, the team was not taken on board, and not taking the team on board was against the culture of GK. In GK, the team was always to do things. The team was also of the view that the catalyst of change, that was the design and marketing manager, lacked capability and he was new to the industry. That is why he was not acceptable to them to propose a change. So that is why it was a cause of resistance, and the commitment to change was not gained as it should have been gained. Here we see the 3rd factor contributing towards resistance was that the managing director used a directive approach by just selecting the design and marketing manager to come up with a solution for the issues that GK was facing. So a collaborative approach could have mitigated the resistance, which was not used by the managing director, and caused resistance, and gaining commitment in this situation was far lesser as it should have been. Now moving forward, my other colleague Vinay would continue with the question number 6.
Hi, the next question, question 6, is who is the change agent and did they have the appropriate skills? In this case, the managing director is the change agent, and he in turn chooses the marketing and design manager to be the catalyst for the required change. By looking at this case, within the framework provided by Buchanan and Body's model, our team came to a conclusion that the change agent here did not possess the appropriate skills for the change. So the model suggests two key skills which are required for the change agent, being the first one being the diagnostic skills to identify the organization's readiness for the change and plan the initiative accordingly. The second one being understanding the critical events in the company's past which will affect the attitudes of the employees towards the change which is going to be happening. So clearly the managing director, who is the change agent, did not take into consideration the skill set required for an catalyst to execute this change, but he rather gave him a chance to prove himself to the team and to make a statement to the world that GK can handle the changes without any external counsel. And there are many failed rejections in the company's history from different teams. The managing director did not consider those proposals and those events while putting up a team for the change. Now my colleague Chang will continue with the next question.
Thank you. This part is question 7. The first question is GK printers use which kind of change styles to change themselves? And the second question is how deep the change of skills. Firstly, GK printers use punctuated equilibrium style to change themselves. In the definition of punctuated equilibrium change is that organizations change themselves through a long-term period stability in general activities, and that are punctuated in a short, strong power change. So in this case, as we can see, GK printers should to cut down their cost and save the consumers with time as soon as possible. So they need to change belong to a strong power by themselves. That's the reason why GK printers should use punctuated equilibriums to change themselves. And the second question answers about the change of skills. In here, first, GK printers have a very strong power leader, MD, and they also choose MD as a change agent. The MDs want change every department's functions by themselves. So that's the reason why they use the top-down plus directive ways to change. However, they also don't want to change the business directions and don't want to change the fundament structures. So that's the reason why their change scale is incremental adjustments. That's all my part. Welcome Karina to do the conclusion.
So in conclusion, we would like to say that GK printers' resistance to change could have been mitigated enormously by including a cross-functional team to address all of the teams and departments' issues and concerns. Additionally, we thought that the planned approach was poorly executed by the managing director because he failed to include the whole team to take into consideration their thoughts and ideas, and at the same time as well, alternatively, an external change agent would have helped immensely to reduce the tension in the situation. In short term, we were thinking that the best approach is to have that one extra person to reduce the delivery time because it was the most pressing issue. But in long term, they definitely need to think about increasing the competitive advantage. So to improve the collaboration in the cross-functional teams, to improve new competitive equipment, and finally to encourage environment of emergent changes. That's it for us, and thank you very much for listening.